Hello, good morning. Happy Sunday. We are about 10 minutes behind schedule, so my apologies for that. A couple things, to be honest, I just needed like a moment to myself as we were getting started. And also, I wanted to make sure that I was prompt and things happen, life happens, and here we are, 10 minutes late. So, anyway, this week's theme is the yama, the internal discipline or framework or guideline that we use in our yoga asana practice or yoga practice. It's not all about asana. Yoga practice is Santosha or contentment. And years ago, I used this phrase as one of my words of the year because ultimately, I think that's what we're all seeking. We're all seeking to feel a little bit more at peace with what is within ourselves, what is in the microcosm, what is in the macrocosm, right? Having contentment with where we are in our lives. And it is not easy, right? It is a difficult place to land or a difficult feeling to obtain or maintain, like there's so much to it. Coinciding with this theme for the week, we're donating to a local SF organization that also has chapters elsewhere called Lighthouse for the Blind. Last week, I spoke a little bit, if you watched the video, about a fraternal organization that I was a part of in college that I'm still a part of today, my sorority Delta Gamma. It is a fraternity technically, but they call it a sorority now. And our philanthropic endeavor with that organization is Service for Sight. And so the local alumni chapter has helped me become a little bit more aware of the local nonprofits that support visually impaired humans, and Lighthouse for the Blind is a big supporter of that. They have a location down on Market Street, and they have a camp that a lot of the visually impaired children and adults go to in the Redwoods, which is really lovely. I have yet to go there myself. And then, so in addition to going to my sorority Founders Day last Sunday and being awarded with the Hope Award for my involvement with the alumni group, which is so nice, the collegiates, they call them, the sorority sisters in college at UC Berkeley, spoke a little bit about their organization with their participation with Lighthouse for the Blind and supporting the young children in that organization. And I had the pleasure of actually teaching yoga on Friday morning to another conference, a corporate group, speech pathologists to be specific. And one of the students was visually impaired, and it was such a treat to meet him and to guide him. He told me in advance and had a little assistant helping him, but he was right in the front and able to just listen to my instruction the whole time while he moved his body. And so that was really special to be a part of and just to experience that, because I have taught a hearing impaired individual before, and I'm sure I teach several hearing impaired individuals in general. And I also had the pleasure of teaching a visually impaired person in a corporate group setting, which was really special. And so I just thought that kind of all of that aligned very nicely for us to donate to the Lighthouse for the Blind organization. I've been kind of intermittently involved with the Delta Gamma fraternal organization for a long time, since college, right? 20 plus years. And I've also intermittently gotten involved when I lived in Colorado. I got to, volunteer at the Anchor Center for the Blind, and then we have the Lighthouse for the Blind here. I also, through Lighthouse for the Blind, volunteered with a visually impaired blind woman and helped her, go run errands and get groceries and to, take her to lunch and stuff like that. And we just had like a nice conversation and friendship for a little bit there. So all of that to say, how is Santosha contentment related? Well, we are blessed to be able to watch this video. I am personally blessed to be able to see myself in the video teaching you today. And I am blessed to see the light blue color hue of the sky, the sun brightening up the buildings, and the clouds passing by, and the dragonfly that flew over my head yesterday. I mean, that was such a treat. hummingbirds flying in the air, giant crows like crawling over the rooftops, and little children giggling, and a loved one, my dog, a partner, a parent, you know, a pet, whatever. So many blessings that we have with eyesight alone. And so, why is contentment so elusive? Why is the feeling of ease, of appreciation, of happiness so far fetched? Because we're human and we have this thing called the negativity bias. And no matter what we are ailed with, right? If we are visually impaired, hearing impaired, or, somehow like injured in some way, we tend to focus on what is lacking or what is not available to us. And that's where pain and suffering come up, right? So this is a lesson for me as much as it is for all of us today. I think that I'm prone to the negativity bias, as most of us individuals are. And thank goodness for this yoga practice to kind of pull me back in line and be like, hey, wake up. What are you grateful for? And how can you be of service today? And so that is such a blessing just to even be here and talking about this, right? It is a beautiful sunny day here in San Francisco. Another gorgeous week we've had. I am feeling more awakened, more alive. I just showered. I feel fresh. I get to move my body. I get to be with you. There's so much to be grateful for, and you don't need me rattling off all the things that I'm grateful for. I take a little journal of that every day. But I think this is a great theme, a great concept to remind you of how easily it is to have contentment fall out of your grasp, right? So how easy it is to feel like you're lacking, or there's less, or there's so much challenge and turmoil in the world that how could I ever feel content again? The truth is that it is a radical act to do that simultaneously while so much is going on. You can certainly feel for the people that have less. You can certainly do whatever you need to do, join a protest, go to a soup kitchen, right? Help a blind woman get her groceries, like whatever it is that you feel passionate about. There is so much power in showing up for those things. And also seeing, like, her name was Tommy. She was a wonderful woman. Seeing how she's totally content with what she's been given. Yeah, it's unfortunate that she lost her eyesight at some age, but she's been able to make it work and able to make do, right? So I really appreciate my time with her because I got to see that she was really fun. And, even though it's unfortunate, she still had a very full life and still, was able to be content with what was, right? Had her own opinions about things, but still was able to find contentment. I think that's just the task that we all have. No matter what adversities we're facing, we have to show up and feel a little bit of gratitude and peace in the moment. So we're going to begin today with a meditation. I think maybe 2 or 3 weeks ago, we did a little bit of movement and then meditation. I often do that, but I feel like because Santosha is so much about the mind and like getting your head around it, I think we'll mostly do a little seated practice today, or at least a seated meditation today, and then we'll get into more embodiment experiences for the rest of the series. So let's go ahead and come to a comfortable seat. I have these great meditation cushions that I bought during the pandemic. Maybe I bought them before the pandemic. I think I did, but they're nice to have. So I'm going to go ahead and sit up on one. If you'd like to elevate your seat, you're welcome to. Otherwise, just find a comfortable position. Maybe that's legs up the wall. Maybe that's legs up the sofa. Maybe that's just on your back lying down. Ideally, with meditation, you have a more upright, alert position so you can stay awake, right? When you're supine, you're more likely to fall asleep. I mean, myself included, no judgment there, but it's just a kind of natural response when your body is relaxed. When your body is more upright and erect, as we say, more alert, then you can also have more awareness and alertness up here, okay? So let's come to a comfortable seat. If you want to lie down, no pressure to do anything else but what feels right for you. Go ahead and soften your gaze and close your eyes. With your eyes closed, maybe tune in to how you're feeling in this moment. tune in to your own humbling experience, your space, your surroundings, your feeling state, however you are showing up. Notice the natural rise and fall of your breath, however deep or subtle it may be. Notice the need to adjust or fix or cling to something. Welcome in the invitation to let go. Relax the jaw. Relax the tongue from the roof of your mouth. Relax the temples. Relax your brow. Relax your gaze. Relax your belly, your shoulders. Trace your awareness around what's touching the floor. So again, if you're upright like me, maybe it's your glutes, the outer thighs, the outer shins, the outer ankles, the tops of your feet. Of course, if you're supine, it's more than that, right? It's probably your butt, your back, your shoulders, your skull, your legs even. So feel whatever is touching the earth below. Feel the effect of gravity like a magnet drawing you deeper into stillness. At the same time, notice the lightness, the lift, the expansiveness of your body out in space. So maybe you notice your elbows kind of dangling alongside your body, your shoulders softening away from the ears, the back of your skull rising up towards the sky. And it's almost like there's a pulley or a lever of some kind that just helps your posture get a little bit taller. Today, we're going to do something called the 5 senses meditation. It begins with the macrocosm, right? What we feel expansively, and then tunes into more of the microcosm or the subtle elements of the senses. You may have done this with me before, but this feels relevant for our theme today. Let's find a moment of pause, just tuning in. And then with your eyes closed, take notice of 5 things that you can see. Maybe you've got the memory of your nail polish on your nails, the color of the wood in your room, the floorboards, I should say. As I mentioned, the bright blue sky, a smile from a stranger, the wag of your dog's tail. It's going to be personal for you, of course, but even with your eyes closed, you can recall things that you can see. And if, of course, you're visually impaired, maybe just remembering or creating, visualizing in your mind the way things appear. The next step is to bring awareness to 4 things that you can feel. I usually often think of first just the touch of my fingers resting on my legs. There's so much sensory output or input from our fingertips. Maybe that's a good place to begin. Maybe it's the feeling of your clothes against your body. Maybe there's a coolness in the room or a warmth in your room. Maybe there's the remembering of your seat connected to the earth, feeling the ground below. Maybe it's the memory of a soft blanket over your body. Maybe it's the warmth of your dog. Again, these are all personal choices, just giving you prompts or ideas of tuning into the feeling of touch. Next, we bring our awareness to 3 things that we can hear. I just heard a dog bark, a truck passing by, and I love this feeling of spring where I hear the soundtrack of the birds outside. To me, that's one of the sweetest parts of this time of year because they're singing their songs all day long. Even when the sun goes down, you can still hear them here. And I had the distinct pleasure of hearing one in the tree the other day where I got to see it singing, even as I heard it. Maybe you're hearing some light chatter outside. Maybe you're hearing distant music in the background. Or more simply, just the sound of my voice. Tune in to your own experience and identify 3 things that you can hear. As we move again deeper inward, we identify 2 things that we can smell. Maybe you smell a sweet aroma coming from your kitchen. Maybe there's the smell of clean laundry. Maybe there's a slight aroma coming from your deodorant or antiperspirant. Or since I just showered, maybe it's the conditioner you used. Maybe you choose to wear perfume, right? So many choices. You could have lit a candle before this practice. Just tune into that. Identify 2 things that you can smell. And finally, the last step of this 5 senses meditation is to identify 1 thing that you can taste. Most likely, it's just kind of your natural saliva. You can even wet your lips or swallow if that helps you. It might be a lingering taste from your breakfast, maybe the taste of your toothpaste, or anything else that comes to mind. Take note of one thing that you can taste. Moving now from this expansive feeling of awareness and what we can see, to what we can feel, to what we can hear, to what we can smell, to what we can taste, we feel a little bit more content with life exactly as it is. I'm not trying to project or force this upon you, but when we bring a little bit more awareness into our observation, we can feel into what's possible. You can blink your eyes open now. Got my pup back, who's also visually impaired. He's got one eye. Such a gift he is to me. And that's all I've got for you today. Thank you so much for coming, for being open to this meditation. As I mentioned, I always link to the organization that I'm supporting each week. I promise that I have been honoring that commitment, donating to each organization that I list for you, and I will do the same today with Lighthouse for the Blind. I'm still on their volunteer list, so I also expect to stay involved with them as time goes on. But if you want to look them up, it's a great local organization here in San Francisco, but they have chapters elsewhere. Service for Sight is the philanthropic organization that I mentioned earlier as well, if you want to look that up. And I hope you have a really great day. Thank you again for joining me. We've got 3 more weeks of this Sunday Sadhana weekly series. I promise next week we'll do some movement and more Dharma talks and breath work and meditation as well. So thank you for joining me, and I hope you have a great rest of your Sunday. Namaste.